We all love something that makes us giggle, smile, or grin like a maniac. An anime comedy making you laugh is one thing, but make you look like an epileptic patient on steroids is a completely different level of entertainment by itself. There are many anime comedy that do this, from Gintama to The Disastrous Life of Seiki to some parts of High School DxD. And they do this through exaggeration and absurdity, but one anime that trumps them all in this genre is none other than Konosuba, God's Blessings on This Wonderful World. It takes both elements of exaggeration and absurdity, and takes it to a whole new level of importance, and that is what makes this series a masterpiece. When I picked up the series, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I expected corny jokes, mediocre dialogue, and a few sexualized imagery scenes every episode or two, but this anime takes everything you knew about comedy and turns it on its head. If you asked a newbie or veteran weeb for a comedy recommendation in anime, Konosuba is always amongst the top 3 suggestions. At first, the Konosuba fanbase looked like a dedicated cult with followers instead of fans, like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but it's just the genuine opinion of people in the community. And if it were a cult, it would probably be in the Megumin faction. After all, what's a good series without an explosion? But Megumin aside, the series does things differently from its peers. When it comes to comedy, it usually focuses on the main narrative of the story or the characters. A good example of this would be Mad Buddies, the story of 2 sworn enemies completing a foot trip together. It was entertaining, I had a good laugh, and it definitely showed a good sense of humor, but it still had some of its restrictions, in terms of words and scenes, and this was because it had to cater to a large audience, so offensive content was limited, but it was really entertaining nonetheless. Now Konosuba on the other hand brings something new, from having sadistic characters, to bits of sexualized imagery dialogue, to unwarranted explicitity, to fluid animations, especially Kazuma's hand scene, to making of story system rules and breaking those rules as well. And with all these things together you come to predict one thing from the show, and that's the fact that you can't predict anything about the show. So, let's dive into the series and see what it's all about. The plot. The story revolves around a shut-in teenager called Kazuma who's reincarnated from the present world into the fantasy world of Konosuba to defeat the Demon King, and to do this, he builds a team with an alcoholic, useless water goddess, a pyromaniac teenager with the brain cell of a firecracker, and a masochistic knight that's unable to land a hit on her target, and together they go on adventures to defeat the armies that the Demon King has left lying around. At this point, it would be safe to say that he's been screwed from the get-go, and he is armed with nothing but his wits, higher than average luck, and reason for gender equality. Kazuma takes up the challenge to face the Demon King. In terms of world building, it still has the generic Isekai style to it, showing off a luscious environment and aesthetics, but it is a peaceful world with deeper levels of chaos in the lives of the characters. Honestly, the reason these characters are still alive is just sheer luck, and that luck is constant throughout the story, giving you more reasons to laugh at the sheer stupidity of their situation. A lot of comedy anime don't really take themselves too seriously when it comes to the overall storytelling and structure, and Konosuba is not so different. It can have goofy characters with goofy dialogue come in every now and then. It can show unnecessarily lewd scenes, and the animation can go from average to straight-up ultra-level entertainment. Who knew Kazuma's fingers could be given that level of detail and animation? The only reason we remember that there's a Demon King in the narrative is when the show reminds us. If we remove that element from the show, you'll still have a good time, and that's if you're an anime fan. If you're a normie, you'll just be blown away. The show doesn't set your expectation too high, but it does a good job at throwing you off with its dialogue, characters, and beautiful animation. The characters. One thing that makes any characters memorable in any movie or series is the personality, or better still, their overall presence in the show, and Konosuba does not disappoint. From the start, the characters display their quirky nature without holding back, like, first, we have Megumi, bursting in with her weird but enthusiastic nature, and immediately she gets to her dreams about explosions and pyromancy. Though the introduction leaves much to be desired, she takes to the story and quickly becomes an unforgettable character on screen. Now, Darkness on the other hand immediately shows her masochistic side to Kazuma the second they meet, and though she tries to hide her feelings whenever subjects involving harm or abuse comes up, she ends up drawing more attention to the fact that she's stimulated by such an idea. And the resurrecting arch-priestess, Aqua herself, has done nothing more than cry, run, get abused, eaten, and drunk in just one season. The memes around her say she's useless, but she keeps proving herself to be far more useless than we could ever anticipate in each episode, except for that time she revived Kazuma. And last but not least, we have Kazuma, the true advocate of gender equality himself, and a role model to weebs alike. Though his teammates' skills far outrank his, he's proven himself to be very capable and quick-witted throughout the series, that is until you put him next to Aqua and everything he does goes down the drain. but he is a likable character nonetheless. These characters are weird, fun, and pull no punches when talking in a way that almost makes them feel real, and the show also introduces characters like Wiz, Chris in the most ridiculous ways, entertaining you in the process. The show has a good animation and a simple art style, but it doesn't slack off when it comes to two things: explosions and Kazuma's fingers. These two things show its animation at its peak, before returning to the simple art style that we've come to appreciate. As at the time of recording this, there's a new season and a new movie planned out, giving anime lovers and manga readers something to look forward to. But if you're like me and want something extra, you could read the manga. There's loads of content, and if you're desperate for more, you could read the light novel. The series has a lot to offer and it always delivers, so if you enjoy comedy in general and just want to have a good laugh, then Konosuba is the series for you regardless of taste. If you enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe for more manga and anime contents. Peace out.